Chapter 15, Ollie Cross. Later that night, I was up in bed reading my new spy school book when the doorbell rang downstairs. I sat up fast. The clock by my bed said 11:51. Then the bell rang again, and again, and again. What the heck was going on? It felt like Christmas Eve in reverse, with us inside the house and someone on the outside trying to get in. And a second later, I was on my feet, and when I opened the door to the hall, Bree and Dad were already there. Janie was standing in her own doorway, and we were all looking at one another. The bell had stopped ringing, but that didn't mean we were in the clear. "What was that?" Janie asked. "Stay here," Bree said. "I've got it." Dad had his phone out, ready to call 911, but he waited with his hand on it, like a weapon, at his side. Bree went down the stairs and stopped at the door to look through the glass. Then she opened it and stuck her head outside. I could see her looking up and down 5th Street. "Anything?" Dad called to her. "I don't think so," she said. But then, actually, hang on. She bent over to pick something up from the stoop, and for a couple of silent seconds, all I heard was my own breathing, a little faster than before. And when Bree closed the door and turned around again, she was holding a white plastic garbage bag. There was something heavy inside, poking at the plastic, or maybe a bunch of stuff. I couldn't tell. "What is it?" Dad asked. Bree looked down into the bag, then up at all of us, standing there. "Well, it looks like we've been unrobbed." "We've been what?" Dad asked. She held up the bag without showing us what was inside. "I think we've got Ollie's stolen laptop here. Also a few other things they took from our room. You're going to want to call this in, Alex." Her voice sounded weird, like there was something she didn't want to say, but I was pretty sure I knew what it was. Besides my laptop, I was guessing someone had returned the 2 police weapons that had been stolen from Dad and Bree's room. I didn't think Janie had ever found out about that part, so I didn't mention it. And to be honest, I was more excited about getting my laptop back, even if I wouldn't get to touch it that night. It was going to have to go in for fingerprinting and maybe digital forensics too. Still, this was really good news for Dad and Bree. "Well, why would they just return a few things?" Nana said, coming into the downstairs hall from her room from the 1st floor. "How does that make sense?" "Well, maybe they figured out this was a cop house," Bree said. "That's another whole layer of the trouble if you get caught." "Or maybe they sold some of it before they changed their minds," Janie said. "That too," Bree said. "But now I was wondering about a third possibility. What if I was right about Gabe all along? What if he'd been the one to break into our house in the first place? Maybe he'd seen my name on the gift-wrapped laptop under the tree, so he'd known it was mine. Maybe this was just his way of saying he was sorry for what he'd done, even if he had kept, and maybe sold, some of our other stuff. As for the guns, maybe Bree was exactly right. Maybe Gabe got sketched out by the whole being responsible for a couple of stolen police weapons, so he'd returned them along with the laptop. I mean, yeah, it would have been super disturbing for my friend to do anything like this, especially to me. The only reason I can imagine him targeting our place was because he'd been inside before, and maybe knew how to sneak in and out pretty easily. But still, breaking and entering just wasn't like Gabe, or at least it wasn't like the Gabe I knew. He'd have to be pretty desperate to try something like this and cut me up inside, just thinking about it. Except then I realized something else. If Gabe was the one ringing our doorbell a minute ago, that meant he was still somewhere nearby. Maybe very nearby. In which case, every second I stood there was another second I'd wasted. Already my feet were moving. I booked down the stairs past Bree and straight out the front door to the street. "Ollie!" she shouted, but there was no stopping me now. The street lamps on 5th Street threw a little light, but not much. Mostly it was dark, cold, and quiet out. "Gabe!" I yelled. "Gabe, are you here?" I was looking back and forth out of my mind, not really seeing anything. "Gabe, come back, it's okay!" And then I felt Dad's hand on my shoulder. "Take a breath," he told me. I thought he'd be mad, but he didn't sound like it. "But what if—" "Just stop," Dad said. "Stop what you're doing and take a breath. Let your mind come into focus." So I did what he said. I took a breath. "And another," Dad said. "Slower this time. Take control of the situation." I didn't know exactly what he meant, but by the time I'd taken another slow breath and let it out, I did feel different, more focused. "Now," Dad said, "look around. Take it in. If you were trying to get away from our house, which way would you go?" I looked up and down 5th Street again and thought about it. G Street was way down to the left, but Virginia Avenue was only a few houses away, to the right. That way, I said, pointing. Why? He asked. It's quicker to get out of sight, I said. And if I knew the neighborhood, I'd be going for the underpass on 6th Street. And then I'd get to the other side of the highway and disappear as fast as I could. Okay, good, Dad said. Now you're thinking like a detective. Anything else? I wasn't sure. Don't ever forget to look up, he said. Not just left and right. Always think in 3 dimensions. That can mean a rooftop or even up in a tree. Believe me, it happens. I looked up, but all I saw were empty trees and the tops of houses that seemed too high for anyone to reach that fast, much less Gabe. I was just over 5 feet tall myself, and Gabe was smaller than me. I don't think anyone's up there, I said. Probably not, Dad said. But this is about possibilities. Got it? Don't rule anything out without a good reason. I was listening to everything he said, but I was still scanning the block too, just in case. So then, it's possible that Gabe was at the door? I said. Right? Dad pulled me closer and started steering me back toward the house now. I'd say that's a mighty long shot, Ollie. I'm sorry, he said. But point taken. We can't rule it out entirely. Maybe Gabe wanted me to have my laptop back, I said. Maybe, Dad said. And maybe he felt bad about taking your police weapons, too, I said. Dad stopped and looked at me for a long time. I'm almost positive he was about to ask me how I knew about the guns, but then it wasn't like he changed his mind. You really are in deep with this, aren't you? He asked. For sure, I said. But that's how I am with everything, right? Dad laughed at that, in a good way. True, he said, as we headed inside. And I'll tell you what else. It's better to care too much than too little. Every single time.